We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journeys. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving a blanket of light. We are weaving a basket to hold all that's true.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Rappahannock. If you're new here, we welcome you. No matter what you believe, no matter who you love, no matter how you live, we welcome you here. So since Jimmy Carter passed, he had a slogan, and it just keeps going through my head. It's kind of a mantra for my life. And I'm sure I'm going to mess it up because I don't have it written down. But it says, my faith requires that I do whatever I can, whenever I can, for whoever I can, for as long as I can. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Marlie Avant. She's cherished 49 years of marriage with Roy, her soulmate. Together, they're proud parents of a son, grandparents to 4 granddaughters, and great-grandparents to 2 great-granddaughters. With a deep passion for the arts, Marlie has captivated audiences in leading roles such as Emily Dickinson in The Belle of Amherst, Martha in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire. Beyond her acting prowess, she has made significant contributions as a set designer for theater, commercials, and film, and has honed her skills as a decorative painter over many years. Marlie's artistic journey intertwines with a profound spiritual exploration. She has participated in Native American UUFR, did I say that right, ceremonies, sun dances, and ayahuasca ceremonies alongside the Shuar people in the Amazon rainforest of Ecuador. Her studies have extended to numerous traditions, including teachings from Peruvian and Tibetan Bon shamans, Mahayana Buddhist, Sufis, and non-dual teachers, reflecting a rich tapestry of spiritual experience. Marlie continues her journey, for in the words of Thich Nhat Hanh, the longest journey you will ever take is the 18 inches from your head to your heart. Marlie?
The reading is The Way It Is by William Stafford. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. Looking for a topic today, I reviewed the UUFR principles, and I was reminded how deeply they resonate with me. I have a high regard for the inherent worth and dignity of every person, as I know each of you do, and in justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. My parents brought me up to explore world religions and diverse spiritual paths, and to seek a common thread. In that way, they instilled in me a free and responsible search for spiritual truth and meaning. With Roy and my many travels, we have always sought to create relationships that were respectful of different cultures and beliefs. Consequently, our lives have been deeply enriched. It's the 7th principle that I would like to talk about today, and in so doing, share with you my journey awakening to an embodied truth. In my Indigenous studies and travels, I was reminded again and again of the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are all a vital part. Consider this. None of us have ever seen our own faces in true form. Oh, we've seen ourselves in mirrors or in photographs, but we have not seen our faces as others see us. This inherent limitation offers a unique gift. We can see ourselves in others. Aboriginal girls will pick a beautiful flower and put it in the hair of another young girl and show absolute delight in the beauty of the girl in that flower, never once having thought to put it in her own hair. There is a natural sense of humility and joy, recognizing that others and all of life are interconnected with our own existence. This perspective fosters a sense of expansion, selflessness, connection, and belonging. Our minds are essentially hidden realms. Our inner world could sometimes foster feelings of separation, yet deep down, we are all creatures yearning for connection. One of our deepest wounds is the feeling of separation, which inevitably fosters the kind of division we are suffering today. I had once felt that separation. Martin Luther King wrote, "I am convinced that men hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they do not know each other. And they do not know each other because they don't communicate. And they don't communicate with each other because they are separated from each other." Years ago, I read a book by John Perkins, "The World is as You Dream It." It was about a group led by John that ventured into the upper Amazonian region of Ecuador to be with and learn from an indigenous tribe called the Shuars, also known as Jibaros. Inspired by the book, I later traveled with John Perkins in a small group heading deep into the jungle. In the village of Makhis, we readied to board an old, dilapidated, single-engine missionary plane. The pilot asked us who wanted to fly first. He said he could only take 6 at a time. There were 12 of us. Call me crazy, but I volunteered for the first group. We climbed in and arranged our duffel bags and backpacks to sit on. There were no seats, obviously no seat belts, and no doors. The most comforting part was that once we got in the air and got above the canopy, it was quite breathtaking. And I figured that even if we crashed, the thick, dense canopy would catch us in a soft cushion of mimosa flowers. We eventually landed in the jungle on a long, narrow strip of grassland in the Tiwi Nunca forest near El Kim, where the Shuars resided. There to greet us were 5 Shuars, each with cold black hair, warm sparkling eyes, and big, broad smiles. Welcoming us with firm handshakes, they swiftly gathered our backpacks and duffel bags, jauntily threw them over their shoulders, and waved for us to follow them. We arrived at the water's edge, where 3 hand-hewn boats waited for us. They loaded our gear, and we made our way down the river to the Shuars village. The rest of the 6 did not come until 2 days later because of heavy rains. I'm going to skip ahead to the part that I wanted to share about healing the sense of separation. One night, just before sunset, we all gathered in the round house where the Tenduan was the tribal shaman, was waiting for us. We were guided in a journey using a method long used by shamans all over the world in order to open to and receive information relevant for healing and guidance for self and community. Stretched out on our backs on the ground of the roundhouse, we closed our eyes and allowed the rhythmic and resonant beatings of drums overlaid with the staccato showering of rain sticks and rattles to lull us into a deep state of relaxation, allowing us to let go and open ourselves to the images and stories that wanted to unfold and guide us. It was much like lucid dreaming. This was my dream, I wrote down in my journal later that night. I began to sense a part of me lifting above my body, flying out of the roundhouse into the dense rainforest. It was as if my eyes had gained night vision. Everything shimmered with a phosphorescent glow, and my senses felt heightened. I soon found a clearing before a rustic hut made of banana palms. A young indigenous maiden greeted me with a gesture to enter. Inside stood a woman in a dark dress with piercing brown eyes. She examined me closely before signaling the maidens beside me. They began sewing 3 wairuru beads into my skin beneath my collarbone, using a fine thread and a bone needle. I later learned that these beads are sacred to the Shuars, as they feel they ward off evil and offer protection. I felt no pain as the elder placed her hand on my heart, sending a rush of warmth and calm through me. The first maiden took my hand, and we soared out of the hut into the lush rainforest. The thread connected us as we glided above the forest canopy. The night sky was alive with stars and a full moon, and the sounds and scents of the jungle spoke to my heart in a way that transcended language. We descended to hover over a beautiful bromeliad. Its leaves wrapping around its stem formed small pools of water. A single drop sat balancing on the tip of the deep purple leaf. The forest maiden then proceeded to take the needle and lace the dewdrop and part of the bromeliad leaf onto the thread that it was connected to. As we traversed the landscape, she proceeded in the same manner, connecting me to the flora and fauna all around us. I felt as if I was being woven into the tapestry of life. Gradually, she led me back to the roundhouse where the others were circled. The maiden took the thread and again began weaving all of us together in the same manner, and then pulled the thread tight and plucked it like a musical instrument. I could feel this resonant vibration traveling through me, through the others, out into the jungle and back again, emphasizing our interconnectedness. She seemed to sense that I understood the message and departed whispering, "Always remember the thread. Keep it in your heart." We later shared our visions, and afterward, Tenduan and an interpreter came over to me. Tenduan spoke, and the interpreter whispered the translation in my ear. He says, "The jungle loves you. The woman you encountered, we call Nunji, the Earth Mother. She will share her secrets. Listen with your heart and always remember the thread." Just imagine for a moment. 8.2 billion people on the planet, and 8.7 million species, including animals, plants, and other organisms, all created with such intricate detail and care. Each of their lives woven by invisible threads into a rich tapestry that connects us all. Shouldn't each soul and every living thing, past, present, and future, be viewed with both awe and reverence? Does this not signify the incredible nature of our existence and the intention behind creation? We stand in the midst of a continuum, a spiral, wonder, unfolding wonder. This is what the wise elders understood. And even Socrates wrote, wisdom begins with wonder. As we awaken to the fabric of life, feeling a part of the great tapestry that we are woven into, we discover a profound sense of belonging. In the Ecuadorian rainforest, my sense of separation was healed. Within me, I continue to feel woven into a vast, loving embrace where every living thing belongs. Is it not love that binds us together? Martin Luther King wrote, "Love is the greatest force in the universe. It is the heartbeat of the moral cosmos. He who loves is a participant in the being of God." In Colossians 2:2, it's written, "I want you woven into the tapestry of love." In Colossians 3:14, "And over all these virtues, put on love, which is able to bind all things together in perfect unity." The invisible threads that bind us ensure that we all belong. Belonging is foundational. We are born into a community and physically attached to our birth mother. While we cut the umbilical cord, we should never sever the spiritual bond to the great mystery, nor sever the deep connection we have with all of life. Social psychologists affirm that our identities depend on others, reflected in the concept of Ubuntu. I am because we are. To truly live as humans, we must also respect the earth. The Shuars see her as our mother. Human means man of the earth. To really be human, to really live into our humanity means living in concert with the earth. And a failure to do so is what brings us to the precipice right now in terms of climate change. Belonging means that we recognize we are in a reciprocal, mutual relationship with each other and with the earth itself. The late Thich Nhat Hanh called it interbeing, conveying the notion that all things exist in a state of interconnected being, a state of being interwoven and mutually dependent. And everything belongs. Viewed from the front, a tapestry appears cohesive and beautiful, but the underside reveals a tangled mess of knots and loose ends. The tangled mess is vital to the overall beauty, as every stitch and strand contributes to the whole. If you've experienced pain or loss, you understand the backside of the tapestry. But do you believe a beautiful pattern emerges from the pain, loss, and chaos? Can you trust life is holding you in its embrace, that you have indeed been created with such intricate detail and care, that life has not forgotten you? You are the warp and the weft, the front and the back of the tapestry, cohesive and beautiful, and a tangled mess of knots and loose ends. And you are loved in all your wholeness. If someone would ask you, who are you? How would you answer? Most of us make reference to our biographies, but those who feel such profound connection to the fabric of life might deeply resonate with Thich Nhat Hanh's poem, "Call Me by My True Names." Do not say that I'll depart tomorrow, because even today, I still arrive. Look deeply. I arrive in every second to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with wings still fragile, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of the flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, in order to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that are alive. I am the mayfly, metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird which, when spring comes, arrives in time to eat the mayfly. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers blossom in all walks of life. My pain is like a river of tears, so full it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names so I can hear all my cries and laughs at once, and I can see my joy and my pain are one. Please call me by my true names so I can wake up, so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. These are words from a man who embraced complexity, whose heart was so deeply woven into the tapestry of life that he had merged with the great heart. Living in a state of interconnectedness carries a significant responsibility. It demands an undefended mind and heart, a mind capable of integrating the paradoxes in life and shifting from an either-or perspective to a both-and perspective. It requires a heart capable of embracing all of humanity, recognizing we are all dependent on each other. We are all woven into the same tapestry. Next time someone asks, "Who are you?" stop for just a second and remember, you are life itself, woven into a continuum and spiral of love.
Any questions or comments?
I think that one of the greatest joys that we have in life is that we find this uniqueness in self. But one of the greatest joys, even better, is when we connect into that we're just part of everything. And the separation then becomes our inhibitors in life because we're so worried about keeping ourselves boxed out from everything that's happening. And when we realize that everything that's happening is just all part of what's supposed to be, it makes life a lot easier. And then we become part of it and we can change that into the beauty. There's always, when you leave separation, you get into creation. It's always going for its purest self. And when we're in this life, we get to play with that and destroy it or whatever we want to do. But it will always turn back to its purest self. And I think that's the amazing part of being in this reality.
Thank you for sharing your truths. I share them with you. As you suggested, we all share them here, I think. And our separation is an illusion. And it's an illusion that really accelerated during the Industrial Revolution when we lost our connection to Mother Earth. And so when my book came out in 2021, I did a workshop with that Penny introduced me to with Lee Harris and the Z's. And one of the things they had us do, a ritual, was to walk into something we were creating. So I walked into my book. I ended up then doing 3 presentations that year on decolonization, because the book is, I'm a midwife for the transition from hierarchies to the other 3 kinds of organizations that are emerging. And the um, the work that we have to do is to we need to forget what we've learned. We need to unlearning. And one of the best ways to do that is just to go outside and to connect with those people who have been the keepers of the wisdom. And so thank you for doing that and being that for us here and now and reminding us.
That was awesome. Very moving. Last night in our food and philosophy conversation, we talked about the kindness of strangers, and people had wonderful stories to tell. And at the end, I think it was Penny was talking, I forget what we were talking about, but it led to my saying, I used to have on my computer screen when I was much younger, "Don't bore the gods." And there were people in the room that seemed to be a little shocked that I would be so bold as to not be wanting to bore the gods. But you don't bore the gods. That is exactly what I meant when I put that on my remain open to adventures and to the messages that are out there for you. Don't become stale and don't become so absorbed with yourself. So thank you so much. You just reconnected me even more to my computer screen message.
In my core, there's a universal collective consciousness of all life. And if I asked you who you are, you just told us.
I'm so moved and so touched. And what you described happening with you in Ecuador years ago, I experienced that in Honduras just last week. I never expected to be so immersed in an indigenous culture, and I saw that every single day. And I'm just so grateful that I could have that experience.
When within all of us is the indigenous soul, just waiting for us to acknowledge it. Yes. And I do know that colonization has hurt many of the indigenous cultures. Yeah.
I wanted to thank you. That was one of the most eloquent and beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. It's really beautiful. And I'm teetering. I'm trying to find balance between two extremes. And the extreme of the body world, the form, and recognizing what we're doing to this world of form. And I'm watching people like Elon Musk, who, his imagination takes a small handful of billionaires to live, in a pod somewhere beyond Earth, right? But then when you look around at this planet, there is no way that humanity could possibly replicate a millionth of what we have here. What exactly could they hope for to do that, right? To throw the baby out with the bathwater, as you put it, to just let go of what we have here in exchange for what they think they could create. Right. And the other side of me thinks, but I'm not a body, I'm a soul. And perhaps the up-leveling of humanity takes us beyond our bodies into a place where we no longer need them.
One of the things I want to say that I learned when I was in Brazil, it was really a lesson in holding opposites. Of course, in Brazil, they have the huge Christ that towers, miles above. And on one side are children in cardboard boxes, and on the other side are extremely rich. And I was there at a time when we were very divided. And I recognized the crucifixion, to me, is holding those opposites with heart.
Oh, wow.
And to move into the Christos is the heart that can hold it both. with compassion.
Yeah.
So, it is our greatest challenge
Yeah.
is to hold those opposites apart.
Thank you so much.
Your string imagery was amazing. I'm going to share a recent experience of mine and that I can recall and relive and experience whenever it comes to mind. I have a friend who works on me energetically most weeks, and I'm on the couch and I'm quiet and we Zoom. And one of the times recently when I did that, I'm gonna try not to. I had the part of being ready for that is to ground myself, and in this particular place, and also to connect to the universe. And in this particular instance, I imagined my heart connected to the heart of the earth. And then there was the connecting, in this case, string, okay. And then my heart connecting to the heart of the universe. And it was so powerful. And I was experiencing that. And then I looked around, and all over the surface of the globe were all of these people, aware or not aware, connected to the heart of the universe, to their heart, to the heart of the earth. And then were all these little finer strings connecting all of us. And it was just, and I can go back there, and it just amazingly powerful. Thank you for sharing yours.
Well, and that is the alignment. And more of us can be in the alignment, which is rooted in earth and anchored here. We can handle, in Brazil, they have the ocean waves. And of course, that's what our life is. We are balancing this. And it's to be in alignment, rooted and, anchored in heaven as well.
Hearing everybody's experiences. Well, first of all, I'm really jealous. I was born down in Panama, and surrounded by people who were either freshly from the forests or still people in the forest. Some, I understand, have yet to be in contact. And I feel like these messages sometimes come to me, but right past me. I mean, I just don't have the whatever for that to hit and make an impression. So
But that's a start, your awareness that they're coming to you.
yeah.
That's a start.
But I think it was wonderful what you and others here have been experiencing, and hope to someday maybe experience the same.
I've been coming to UUFR for a long time, and I have to say that your presentation this morning is the most deeply spiritual one that I have ever heard here, and I appreciate that, and I thank you.
So several of you mentioned colonization and how it changed things. One of my favorite books is called Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. And it's about the colonization of what's now Nigeria. It follows a chieftain who is very powerful and how he loses power as the colonists come in, and all the people that went to the European way of life for various reasons. It's won many awards. It's required reading in a lot of Nigerian colleges. So Things Fall Apart. Check it out.
Last night, I watched a wonderful movie on Netflix, Society of the Snow. If you have not seen or heard of this, it's the plane crash in 1972 in the Amazon. 40 people were on the plane. For I forget how many months, 14 people survived. And nobody was expected to come out. They were looking for bodies. And the story was, it's who we were on the mountain. And it's a story of how these were it was a hockey team, and how these young men and a couple of other passengers as well figured out a way together to survive. It was the best story of community I've ever seen, and hearts touching hearts. I highly recommend it.
Closing words. Something which just came to me as we were listening to that song. I think Spirit's strong in here today. So if you've ever done weaving, you know that you keep using the same colors, but once in a while you build in like a little bit. It might be there 1 or 2 times, or it might keep being repeated throughout the whole tapestry. So I hope as you go off, you welcome those little extra bits that come in that make it the whole even better.
So my closing is by Rabindranath Tagore. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death, in ebb and in flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life. And my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this very moment.